Hi Cancer, welcome to your prosperity reading for the period from April 1st to July 1st, 2017. This is Raina, and I first wanted to say that I'm not sure, I did this type of reading before, and it goes up until the end of March. So, I mean, you can watch that if you want. We're almost at the end of the month. But I'm not sure. I think I did do astrological transits that time, and I'm not going to do it this time. I'm just going to have a tarot spread, and I'm going to read from this book called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder, as just a little inspiration, a little snippet of it. And this is because I feel that it's best to do the astrological stuff in private readings, especially with the job and the career, because it's just there's too many variables, and I'm typically not really that keen on doing astrology readings online, general ones, because of that. The tarot is much more open-ended. So here I go, and if you'd like a private reading, just click on the link below to the link to my online store. So what I'm going to do, maybe I should do I'll lay out the cards and then I'll read from the book. I think I'll do it that way. Yeah, this is a good card. Good way to start out the reading. Okay, I'm just randomly opening it. Okay, I'm going to just read because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I wanted to read exactly what I opened up with, but I just want to give a disclaimer. This author, Catherine Ponder, I do believe, because I attend Unity Church of Christianity on a regular basis, and I have for almost 30 years. I was raised a liberal Christian, and which means that in my church it was more focused on the mission of Jesus, clothing the needy and feeding them, and public service, not public service, but service to humanity versus shaming people and scaring them, talking about hell and all that stuff. I'm grateful that I didn't grow up that way, because I think that a lot of people end up being totally disgusted with God, spirituality altogether, not realizing that that is organized religion, and there's a difference between spirituality and religion. There's dogma attached to organized religion. But the reason I'm kind of prefacing that as I read this is because the thing I opened up to said the Lord's Prayer has healing power. So you have to understand that the context is from a Christian, it's like Christian mysticism or New Age thought. I'm just going to read just a short snippet. And I believe that this can be true for any kind of mantra that you say. It doesn't have to be anything of a particular religion, but if something, there are sound vibrations, just like a gong can be very purifying, the sound of a gong bath. A woman once traveled a long distance to visit a noted spiritual healer concerning a chronic condition that had caused her much suffering. She was surprised, coming into the healer's presence, to be invited to join in praying over and over the Lord's Prayer. So you see, that's kind of like a mantra when you say something over and over again. At the conclusion of their prayer session, the healer told the woman to return to her home and to use the Lord's Prayer many times daily, explaining that it was the greatest healing prayer of all. Feeling a little skeptical of such a simple healing method. She nevertheless followed instructions. In a few weeks, her ailment vanished and did not reappear. Well, I'm just going to leave it there because I don't want to get into a specific religious instruction. But the same thing can apply to mantras, saying things out loud, repeating them, affirmations. Okay, affirmations. And that doesn't have to be attached to a specific religion. All is well in my world. Saying these things, sometimes you fake it until you make it. But it can be very helpful. It can be healing. So the overall theme of this 3-month period is the 9 of Cups. So this is the wish fulfillment card, Cancer. This is you attracting something to you that you've wanted. And it can feel very satisfying on many levels. Because these are cups, it can be a relationship that you've wanted. But in a career setting, I have found that the 9 of Cups can also relate to material success, whether it's money or that you got the job that you wanted to get. Now, interestingly, in the past position, we have the Death card, and that means transition. That means an ending of some sort. But it may have been an ending that you were trying to avoid, that you were trying desperately to not have happen. And so the message that I would get from that is that sometimes change or death is inevitable, and you have to embrace it and not fear it, because otherwise, if you don't, you end up wasting valuable time. I mean, some people, I can't think there was an example that I was going to use, because I know that this is true many, many times over, where somebody will cling to something and they're so afraid of losing it, and then it ends up ending without them having initiated the ending. Oh, yes, I can tell you this example because it deals with career. My partner worked in a certain type of a business, and he finally got disgusted with it after a few years, where he felt like he wasn't being listened to. He wanted to do things in a certain way, and they wouldn't do them that way. And he just felt that on many levels, it was time for him to leave. And not too long after that, and I think people even said to him, "Why are you leaving? This is such a great job. Oh my God," Right after he left, maybe months later, I don't know the exact amount of time, other people, I think like most of the people, 90% of the people that he knew probably, got laid off from that place. And not only that, but I think to add insult to injury, they had to train their replacements. And they actually said to him later, you had the right idea. Because they were so attached to this job, and they thought, what would I do without it? That it ended anyway. And the worst part about it is that they were treated like they were just pieces of meat that could be, or pawns that could be kind of moved on the chessboard, and not looking at them as individuals who had worked for this company, some of them for many years, and ended up being treated like trash by some corporate entity that didn't give a damn about them. They just saw them as expendable. So if you have experienced something similar to that, it's a hidden blessing. It may not feel like it, but it's a hidden blessing. I think that now, though, you're starting to see that there was a reason for it to happen, and that is adding to your sense of happiness, Cancer. Accompanying this during this time period is the Ace of Swords. So this is about initiation. It's about having clarity of thought, having a sense of a mission or a sense of direction, not just kind of flailing around, being kind of one-pointed in what you want to do. There's just a real concentration of effort and energy being placed into it. The higher message is I just got a message to change my battery pack, so excuse me as I plug in my I don't want to pause this because then I'll have to upload it separately. Okay, here we go. The Ten of Wands is the higher message, and that can indicate to watch out for working too hard. And also, if you're at a new place, watch out for agreeing to take on things that are not for you to take on. Cancers tend to be very, I think most of all, overall, pretty cooperative, wanting to help out, and yet you may be working very hard, and you may be getting, you may have demands placed on you that are unfair. So draw a line in the sand, have boundaries. Don't allow people to use, like, let's say you've got a promotion. Don't allow them to use that promotion as a way of saddling you with extra work. And of course the freight train had to come by, huh? Or is coming by. What crosses you is the Justice card. I would say, going along with that, do not allow yourself to be treated unfairly. Sometimes that's what people do. They give you this raise, or they give you this higher position, and then they make you do twice as much work. So don't allow that kind of unfairness to be part of your new opportunity. The other thing too is that you may, if some of you may be coming from a personal situation like a divorce, and you may be throwing yourself into your work and everything like that, but you may in the back of your mind still be focusing on this situation, and you really have to put that behind you and move on with your life, and not allow the past to get dragged into your present and prevent you from fully enjoying what is probably a really nice experience for you, in terms of feeling that you have been given that promotion, being lifted up in some way. The advice, or in some cases what is coming in, is the King of Swords. So this could be the kind of boss you have in a new position. This could be a person who is very logical, is not somebody who allows themselves to get caught up in petty emotions. They can be very intelligent and analytical. The only thing about these types of people is they may be out of touch with their feelings, and that can sometimes grate on you because you are a water sign, and you may feel that this person is not being affectionate enough to you, I guess I would put it, and you have to realize that they have their own way of communicating, and you may feel like they're being cold, but really they're just being detached, and that there's a difference. In other words, there's nothing against you, but that's just how they express themselves. This could be a facet of you, because you are a water sign who wears your heart on your sleeve. You may realize that that hasn't served you well, and you are starting to kind of realize that your emotions are very irrational. I mean, when I say you, I mean all of our emotions, that they're from past conditioning, and that you don't have to identify with your emotions. You should definitely honor your emotions, because sometimes when you don't feel good about something, there is a reason. You're not resonating with it. And instead of, like, some people, they just ignore their own gut feelings and they live to regret it. So I'm not telling you to ignore your feelings, but not to worship them, because they are not necessarily your friends, your feelings. They can be very reptilian. They can be really based upon a deeply ingrained pattern within you that needs to be eradicated, quite frankly, in some cases. The outcome is the Queen of Wands. Oh, by the way, the King of Swords, maybe that's timing issues, so maybe during new moon periods of Gemini, which is around the 25th of May, and Libra is the... Oh, well, that would be the period that it covers. So maybe there'll be movement around the 25th of May. The outcome is the Queen of Wands. And this, again, could be a facet of you. So you have the King and the Queen. So that's the outer, the yang, the masculine expression, and the inner. Now, how I read this is that you have the intellect that represents the outer and the positive emotions of the Queen of Wands, which is, connected to the fire signs, connected to Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. And these could be your tendencies, is to be like much more enthusiastic about your life. Maybe you feel more plugged in. Maybe you're feeling a little bit kind of oddly detached because you weren't really into what you were doing, and now you feel much better about your circumstances, or your circumstance, I guess, right? Or is it circumstances? And the Queen of Wands can indicate if you are in a position of supervising, that you are not going to throw your weight around and act like I'm the boss and, my way or the highway. But you're going to be almost like a cheerleader for the people under you. You're going to motivate them by generating just excitement, anticipation, and filling them with positive feelings. This could also be your co-workers, but with the Queen, sometimes it's like somebody who's in a position of authority. And so just really inspiring people through your positive demeanor. And maybe coming out of your shell. If some Cancer people are very reticent and they don't necessarily express themselves in the company of others, especially that they don't know. And maybe you have a confidence boost now and you're able to do that more easily and therefore connect with people more easily. So anyway, Cancer, I hope you enjoy this. Take care of yourselves. Bye.